We're getting an Avengers Endgame style event with the DCU. But how exactly are we going to get there? Well, James Gunn and Peter Safran, during their private press event last week and all the information that came out, sort of dove into that a little bit on what we can expect getting to that point. Now, they stated and have confirmed that they do have a 6-year, that's right, a 6-year plan that will culminate into this event. That's pretty exciting. I love the fact that they have a 6-year plan in mind. That, to me, means that they, have a point A, a point B, point C, point D, all that kind of stuff. But we know point A is pretty much starting with Superman. Creature Commandos fits in there, Peacemaker fits in there, Supergirl fits in there. But how do we get to that event? Well, they do state that they have a plan to release a ton of content over these next several years, such as 2 live-action films per year, 1 animated film per year, 2 live-action shows per year, and 2 animated series per year. What's exciting about this is going to help build and really push the DC brand, the DCU as a whole, forward. Now, does this mean that all of these projects that they're talking about are going to be part of the DCU? No, not at all. Those 2 live-action films per year, one could be an Elseworlds, one could be a DCU project. That animated film per year could be an Elseworlds, could be a DCU. As with the animated series per year, well, those could be things for kids. Those could be things that are part of the DCU. We don't know exactly how this all fits yet, but they don't need to focus solely on the DCU. Now, yes, I am somebody who states all the time that they truly need to focus on the DCU more than not. But I also understand that they need to focus on the larger audience. They need to make sure that they're getting kids into DC content. One of the greatest things that I think has happened with Marvel, for instance, is some of the little shows that they put on, like Disney Plus for kids. My daughters love the Amazing Spider-Man and Friends show. It's 3 Spider-Men. It's Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Miles Morales, known as Spin, and then Spider-Gwen. And they put the 3 of them, they're little kids, and they run around the city taking on Spider-Man villains. And my girls love that show. They love it, and they know who Spider-Man is. They know Hulk. They know Captain America, because they all come onto the show in some form or fashion as guest stars, essentially. And they know who these characters are. So as they get older, when it's time for them to get into these more adult shows and movies, they're going to be into them. Not only that, but that was their gateway into watching Spider-Man movies, because even now, at the age of 4 and 6, they're okay, and they ask to watch the live-action movies sometimes. So DC needs to do the same thing. That's what they need to do. But how do they get to that Endgame event-style movie if they're going to put out roughly 7 things a year, and not all of them being DCU? Well, I think the way it's going to work is that DC Endgame event, level event, I think we're going to see probably a total of like 8, maybe 10 films prior to it, which is fine. I don't think you need more than that. I think this is, and they said Endgame level event. I don't think they need, what was it prior to Endgame? What was it, like 20, 24 films, maybe a little less, 19 films prior to Endgame? I don't think you need that many. But I think that they're going to establish the Justice League, the main players in DC. So they're going to have to establish them in some way. The big difference with the MCU and how the DCU is going to function is the MCU did it in a way that it was, Here's your Iron Man, here's your Thor, here's your Captain America, here's this, here's that. And a lot of these characters were built up on their solo films. Ant-Man, here's your Captain Marvel, here's, everything kind of had a solo film first. Now, you don't have to do that with DC. I said this back in 2013, 2016, 2017, whatever it was. You don't need to do that. So many people had it in their head for so long that you have to do it the Marvel way. But you don't. You don't. You have good writing, good storytelling, then you can do things differently. James Gunn alluded to the fact that you may not see Batman in a solo Batman movie first. You may see him pop up elsewhere. Could it be in a World's Finest movie? Could we see him pop up in the Clayface movie first? Could we see him pop up elsewhere prior to the Justice League movie? Absolutely. Superman is the main focus of this universe, as he should be. It's Superman. We got a Supergirl. We have lanterns. And man, are they focusing on lanterns. A lot of lanterns. But again, we don't necessarily need to have all these characters have a solo outing in some form or fashion prior to a Justice League. Hell, some of them could pop up in a Justice League movie. And that's okay. That's okay. Now, what do we get prior to that? Now, James Gunn was a little, we'll say, cagey. Cagey. Safran and Gunn were cagey on the details. They weren't upfront with all of the projects they have coming up because, well, they are very adamant on getting the perfect script. They want the perfect script before getting and green-lighting a project. Now, if you remember that first little reveal that they showed for what DC Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters, there were things like Booster Gold, The Authority, Waller that were on there. Those three specifically I mentioned because those three are kind of taking a back burner. They haven't been able to crack the scripts for them yet. They're having a little difficulty. And they decided, because we can't crack these scripts, let's put them on the back burner. Clayface wasn't something they thought was gonna happen, but they got a script and they got a good script. So they were like, hey, let's move forward with it. The same thing's happening with it kind of happened with Supergirl. Like they didn't initially thought that Supergirl was going to be their second film, but the script was that good, so they pushed it to be the second film. That's how they're going with all of this. They're making sure that they have a good script and moving forward with it before anything else. Now, you're going to see people out there who are sitting there saying they don't have a plan. Oh, they have a plan that's going to lead to an endgame style event. Not with this slate of films. Well, first off, we don't know the entire slate of films because their plan isn't fully revealed. And that's okay. That's okay. I would much rather have a completely unreleased slate of films knowing that they're taking their time getting the best scripts that they can get instead of having a full slate of films with half-assed scripts and them rushing stuff out like Marvel's been doing. There's a big difference there. The people that want to sit there and complain are just going to complain because they're afraid. They're afraid that it's not going to be what they want. And it doesn't need to be what they want. A lot of times people don't know what they want. A lot of times people don't realize that they're not in control. They're the filmmakers. They're the artists. They're the ones creating their art. They're the ones that are making this story. They're the ones pushing it ahead. They're the ones that are going to create this narrative. And they're allowed to do that. They are given the artistic integrity that has been allotted to them to do this. So they're allowed to. Granted, yes, I agree that it's the duty of the audience to then pay for it. If they don't pay for it, then it's obviously showing the artist that we don't want it. Absolutely. But to sit back and to sit there on X, on Threads, on Blue Sky and say, oh, this is terrible, this looks like crap, or blah, blah, blah. without seeing it, without going to it, well, what are you really proving? What are you showing? What are you doing? Nothing. You're making yourself look like a fool, making yourself look like a hypocrite. So as I sit here, I take a look. They got a 6-year plan. Do we know everything? No. Do we need to know everything? No, we don't. We know it starts with Superman, and it's going to end with a big endgame-like style event. Okay. We got the beginning and the end. Everything in the middle, let it fall into place. That's the beauty of it. We don't need to know the adventure right now, because that's the fun. The fun is going on the journey. And if you know what the journey is, what's the fun? What's the fun if you know everything? So for me, I'm excited because we don't know all the intricacies of the journey. We don't know what heroes are going to pop up and when they're going to pop up. Sure, we know there's a Superman, we know there's a Supergirl, we know there's some Lanterns. We know there's probably going to be a Batman. But is there going to be a Wonder Woman? Is there going to be a Flash? Is there going to be a Martian Manhunter? Is there going to be... who else could there be? You know, is there going to be an Atom? Is there going to be a Dr. Fate? Is there going to be a Constantine? Is there going to be... Like, you could just go through the pantheon of DC characters and just start to wonder who's all going to be there. Who's going to be part of this big event? And it's exciting to start speculating. That's the exciting part. Who's the main villain even? Is it Brainiac? Is it going to be Darkseid? Who could it be? Vandal Savage? Who knows? It's exciting, and people need to get excited. And I know a lot of people are excited, but the people that are naysayers, the people that sit there and say, oh, this is ridiculous, you need to get excited. This whole event, private event, was really cool because it's showing the fans and the press and everything that, hey, DCU is here to stay. They got plans. They're getting the resources they need. And things are moving ahead. And it's real exciting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, what you think about all this. Where do you think everything's headed? Who do you think the big bad is going to be? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you have to say or think or speculate. Yeah, hit that like button, hit subscribe. Catch you all later.